इसमें फर्स्ट प्रिंटेड बुक। तो अब इसमें फर्स्ट प्रिंटेड बुक मतलब सबसे पहले बुक कहाँ पे प्रिंट हुई। तो दिस टेक्नोलॉजी दैट वाज डेवलप्ड इन चाइना, जापान एंड कोरिया। तो मतलब पूरे वर्ल्ड में सबसे पहले अगर प्रिंट टेक्नोलॉजी कहीं डेवलप हुई तो वो था चाइना, जापान एंड कोरिया। उसके बाद यहीं से मीन्स फ्रॉम दीज इज एंड ऑल दीज थ्री कंट्रीज आर इन ईस्ट एशिया। जैसे उसमें दिया था ना कि सबसे पहले जो प्रिंट था वो ईस्ट एशिया में डेवलप हुआ। तो दैट वाज गिवन, इट वाज डेवलप्ड इन ईस्ट एशिया। ऑल दीज थ्री कंट्रीज आर इन ईस्ट एशिया। तो फर्स्ट प्रिंट टेक्नोलॉजी वाज डेवलप्ड इन चाइना, जापान एंड कोरिया, एंड आफ्टर दैट इट has spread in other parts। तो अब इसमें देखो तो इनिशियल टाइम whichever print technology was developed, that was the system of hand printing। मतलब प्रेजेंट टाइम में तो मशीनें हैं, we get print out from machines, printing machine। But at that time printing machines were not available, and in this way they were doing hand printing। And how that hand printing they were doing, they were rubbing paper against a wooden surface, against inked this wooden surface, and then whatever later were inscribed, जैसे they had taken one wood logs, and in that wood logs they have inscribed different letters, sentences, words and sentences, and after that they rubbed the paper against the inked wood surface. So whatever was there, that was printed. In this way, this printing was done. So it was the wood log printing. It was wood log printing, as they could not print both side of the paper because paper was thin. So in this way, uh, after printing of each paper, means they were separate paper were printed. So only one side was printed, not both sides. So today, whatever book we have, that books are printed both sides. But at that time, it was printed only one side. And why it was printed only one side? Because paper was thin. So only one side this was printed. So another hand, after printing of separate each paper separately, that was folded and stitched at a side। तो एक किनारे उसको सिल देते थे, they were stitched, and people who were doing this, अब इसके another hand, superbly skilled craftsmen could duplicate। ये भी है कि उस समय when print technology was developed, at that time this calligraphy means क्या है कि this was the written by hand। calligraphy that was the written by hand in different style। so this at that time people were writing by their own hand। ठीक है, means it was written beautifully in different style। तो अब ये था कि wood log printing, this wood log printing से पहले, या हम कह सकते हैं कि वुड लॉग प्रिंटिंग जब डेवलप हुई उस टाइम में कैलीग्राफी भी था। ठीक है, उससे पहले भी कैलीग्राफी थी। मतलब कुछ लोग, दिस फ्यू पीपल, दे वर स्किल्ड in writing all the material beautifully by hand। So they were writing this they learned it how to write different material in different style beautifully। So this was the calligraphy। So calligraphy was this even before printing was invented, and calligraphy continued after printing was invented। So calligraphy that was also going on. Here print was invented. This then it came this in case of for a longer time. This for a longer time there was a lot of demand of this printing। ठीक है, तो अब देखो यहाँ लंबे समय तक, this for longer time imperial state in China was the this imperial state in China was the major producer of printed material। और इसके पीछे रीजंस क्या है? इंपीरियल स्टेट मतलब जो उस समय चाइना की जो सरकार थी, ठीक है, ये ओबियसली देयर वाज सम मोनार्की। उस समय जो चाइनीज गवर्नमेंट थी, तो दैट चाइनीज गवर्नमेंट this Chinese government was the major producer of this printed material। और उसके पीछे रीजंस क्या थे? This actually China needed huge bureaucratic this bureaucratic people। So China needed this large number of bureaucrats, and all that large number of bureaucrats they were appointed by conducting civil services exam। So by conducting civil services examination, that bureaucrats were appointed। This to supply books for the exam preparation and for conducting these exams, so that large number of material was printed। So in this way, and all that, so in the initial time, all the printing books, all the printed material that was this done with the help of imperial state of China। This from 16th century, number of examination as day by day, number of candidates were increasing। As number of candidates went up, in the same way printed material also increased। मतलब जितने जैसे जैसे कैंडिडेट बढ़ते थे, वैसे वैसे जो प्रिंटेड मटेरियल था, जो टेक्स्ट बुक्स थी, उनकी डिमांड भी बढ़ती जाती थी। And as the demand was increased, Chinese imperial state this started printing more and more books for examination। So in this way, this imperial state in China, that was the major producer of printed material। तो उसके पीछे रीजन यही था कि they were conducting civil services examination for the appointment of bureaucrat, and in this way they needed these books, and as number of candidates were increasing, these books were printed in the same way। And even this 17th century, this in 17th century, अब सबसे पहले तो ये है कि दिस हाउ प्रिंटिंग फ्लोराइज। तो सबसे पहले ये है कि चाइनीज गवर्नमेंट नीडेड ब्यूरोक्रेट, दैट ब्यूरोक्रेट वर अपॉइंटेड by conducting civil services examination। For conducting civil services examination, large number of books were printed, and as candidates were increasing number, as candidates number went up, uh, books were printed in more number। तो अब दूसरी चीज, अब इसके पीछे another hand, one more thing also helped to increase that production, yeah, that increase। Another hand, next thing which helped to print more and more books, so next thing that helped to print more and more books, that was the so this was the next thing। जैसे अब देखो यहाँ urban culture means urbanization was started in China, and as urbanization was started, this different this print technology has spread in so many parts, and they started to print different type of books and different type of material। So this urbanization helped for more and more printing in case of flourishing of print culture। So this as urban culture increased, this as urban culture came into existence, as urbanization started in China, demand of printed material increased for different work। So how it increased? Like print was no longer used but just by the scholar officials। This in the initial time, print material was only used by the officials, means it was used for the government purposes. In the initial time, print material was used for the government purposes, but after that, print material was also available for merchants. This it was available for merchants. They also needed it. This and why they needed it? Actually, they collected trade information. Merchants collected trade information. To get trade information, they say present time में देखो when we read in newspaper. So in newspaper there is a one page and it is written business. Yeah, it is written economy. So this related to all the info. This all the information related to business, related to trade, that is given on that page. So this in the at that time, merchant they needed print material to get trade information, and means now uh, day by day demand printed material increased. So these merchants they needed it. After that, these people they started to read these books. They started to read print material in their free time. Means it became their free time activity. It is in a leisure activity. Leisure activity means free time activity. जैसे जब free time होता था, so they started to spend their spare time in by reading books. तो यहाँ पे ये भी स्टार्ट हुआ. Means day by day more and more people wanted printed material for their reading purposes. So this next on the hand new readership referred frictional. अब यहाँ पे देखो कि in the initial time when print technology was invented, all the material was printed for the government purposes, for the official purposes. But now this time printed material was not used only for official purposes. Now different type of material was printed. So which different type of material was printed? I said like fictional narratives, that was printed poetry, then autobiographies, then anthologies of literary masterpiece, then romantic plays. तो अब प्रेजेंट टाइम में क्या था कि जो प्रिंट मटेरियल थी वो डिफरेंट वेराइटीज की थी. दिस नाउ आफ्टर print technology was invented, this different print material was available. तो अब क्या था कि this poetry, printing of poetry, this then autobiographies या story books that were started. This their printing was started. Women also started to read, and some women they started to publish their own poetry and plays. Wives of scholar officials they published their work and quotes and wrote about their lives. तो अब यहाँ पे क्या था कि जो print technology है that bloomed. That bloomed means this it flourished. Print technology in China flourished, and because more and more people they were engaged in reading and writing. As more and more people were engaged in reading and writing, books on different subjects were available. Books of different types were available. This for poetry books were available, for prose books were available, for stories, autobiographies. Means now variety of books were available in printed form. Women also started to read and write. They also started to publish their poetry and plays. So in this way, and this day by day, it was flourished. Means print technology was flourished.